At this point in the episode, Ms. Cowart spills the beans about why she's in court, to nail down the paternity of her 9-month-old son and maybe save her rocky relationship with the alleged dad, Mr. James. She's all kinds of upset over not knowing who her baby's daddy is. But hold on tight, because the next part is a doozy.
Ms. Cowart, you claim you're here today to determine the paternity of your 9-month-old son in an effort to save your relationship with his alleged father, Mr. James. Mr. James, you say Ms. Cowart has cheated on you in the past, and you argue you not only have good reason to doubt paternity, but say you can no longer trust her.
Get ready for a jaw-dropper. Mr. James pulls out his secret weapon, a meticulously kept calendar of his romantic escapades, complete with notes on menstrual cycles to sidestep any paternity drama. He lays this bombshell out to back up his doubts about fathering Ms. Cowart's child, and boy, do the audience and judge get a load of that. What happens next will totally throw you for a loop.
I keep on a calendar basically about her cycle, and from what I've done, when I can and when I cannot, be intimate with her.
So, Mr. James, how long have you been keeping a calendar like this?
Since I've been about 25, 26 years old.
25 or 26?
Yes, ma'am.
What are you now?
I'm 42.
Oh, this is calendars at this point, right?
It's plural, yes, ma'am.
Just when you think it can't get any wilder, watch this. The judge dives into Mr. James's controversial intimacy calendar, pinpointing the dates that line up with Ms. Cowart's cycle. Mr. James uses these dates to challenge the pregnancy timeline, cranking up his paternity skepticism to new heights. Brace yourself, the courtroom is about to turn up the heat.
Friday, December 28, 2012. You have an abbreviation, meaning that the monthly cycle began. And then on Wednesday, January 2nd, where it ended. And so how did your calendar play a role once you found out she was pregnant? Is this what made you doubtful as you went back through your notes?
You're not going to want to miss this explosive revelation. The courtroom drama cranks up as Mr. James throws down accusations of Ms. Cowart stepping out during the critical baby-making window. He's slinging mistrust left and right, dragging up past flings and picking apart her alibis. The next scene will have you on the edge of your seat.
Once we found out she was pregnant, pretty much told her that I was going to take a DNA before I put my name on the birth certificate. I need the DNA.
So, Mr. James, let me ask you this, because what other reason do you have to doubt?
From the beginning, the way that the relationship started, she was in a relationship.
Things are about to get even messier. Ms. Cowart tries to play the reconciliation card for Mr. James's birthday amidst their split, but Mr. James isn't buying what she's selling, grilling her on the details and doubting her motives. Stick around, because their confrontation is about to hit peak drama.
You have to recall it.
It wasn't that far. It wasn't that far. He's saying it's been days and weeks. It wasn't that long. It was maybe 3 or 4 days. It was not weeks, and it was not.
When Taj was born, who was at the hospital? Anybody there?
Mr. James was at the hospital. He was there the whole time.
Did you sign the birth certificate?
Yes.
You'll never guess what happens next. After a roller coaster of emotions, the DNA test results finally drop.
When it comes to Taj James, Mr. James, you are the father.
Thank you. I told you. Come on, you want her?
So here's the tea. Ms. Billingsley kicks off her case, spilling all the beans about the financial hit and emotional roller coaster she's ridden, thanks to Mr. Broadnax's denial of paternity. We're talking over $10,000 in childcare expenses that she's been shouldering alone. She's in court today, not just to vent, but to snag half of those costs back, banking on a paternity test to back up her story. Get ready for some serious drama.
Ms. Billingsley, you claim you alone have shouldered the burden of more than $10,000 in childcare expenses, all because the defendant denies paternity of your daughter and refuses to help support her.
Yes, Your Honor.
Hold on to your hats, folks. Mr. Broadnax isn't just sitting back, he's throwing punches too. Metaphorically speaking, of course. He's all about defending his stance, blaming his paternity doubts on Ms. Billingsley's alleged side romances. Yup, he hasn't spent a dime on what might be his daughter, because in his mind, the math of fidelity just doesn't add up. This is only getting spicier.
You've not done a single thing for 1-year-old Bailey. You argue that it's only because Ms. Billingsley cheated on you and you don't believe you're her daughter's father.
My daughter is now 21 months and I have been taking care of her since day one.
And just when you think it can't get more Hollywood, Mr. Broadnax drops a bombshell. Back when he thought he was the dad-to-be, he didn't just promise dreams. He literally bought a house and a car for Ms. Billingsley. Talk about grand gestures. But don't drop your popcorn yet. Ms. Billingsley's response is up next, and it's a doozy.
When she told me that she was pregnant, I had got her a house, I got her a car, everything.
He did. And when he would tell me those things, I thought he he was going to do it, and he did. It became very difficult. I was almost unable to walk. It almost felt like I was paralyzed.
I would rub her feet, I would rub her stomach, I'd talk to the baby.
Fasten your seatbelts. It's about to get bumpy. Ms. Billingsley cranks up the drama, accusing Mr. Broadnax of ditching her and their baby for a wild life of partying as soon as the baby news broke. Heartbroken and heavy with child, she packed up and moved out. And just when you think it's all out on the table, there's more chaos to come.
There was rumors of cheating. I was 3 weeks pregnant when I found out I was pregnant. It was very early in my pregnancy. I found out, I was excited. The first person I called was Mr. Broadnax to share the news. And then it came down to him moving back and choosing to party constantly. And when I realized how constant it had become.
It's twist after twist in this courtroom saga. Mr. Broadnax isn't buying the faithful act. He's been digging around and found what he claims are flirty chats between Ms. Billingsley and some old flames, which stokes the fire of his paternity doubts. Buckle up, the revelations are just getting started.
As you can see, her window of conception was between early April, mid-April, from the 10th to the 18th, I believe. And then that's my work schedule. I was out of town from the 6th to the 19th.
When you started having doubts, you went to a conception app.
Yes.
And so you entered Bailey's birthday, which is January 5th, 2013.
Yes. Just when you think you've seen it all, both parties are slinging mud about cheating now. Mr. Broadnax is all about the distrust, while Ms. Billingsley is standing her ground, adamant about proving he's the dad with a DNA test. The tension is palpable, and you won't believe what's uncovered next.
4 months it started getting rocky. We started arguing a lot. Her claiming I was cheating. Me, DNA tests, when I brought that up, she would always
That is a lie, Your Honor.
She would always get defensive, just like right now.
That is a lie. When he would request the DNA test, I told him absolutely there's no doubt in my mind. Let's do it.
That's a lie.
So why you want to have a DNA test? I'd be more than happy to prove.
Jaw drop moment coming in 3, 2, 1. Boom. Miss Billingsley throws a curveball, claiming she and Mr. Broadnax had a recent rendezvous despite his new relationship status. The courtroom's buzzing with whispers and side eyes. This emotional tangle, it's juicier than a season finale cliffhanger.
He sure didn't have a problem laying me down the other night, did you?
She's lying, Your Honor.
I'm lying.
So you're in a relationship, Mr. Broadnax?
Yes, Your Honor.
But you were intimate with Ms. Billingsley the other night?
No, Your Honor. I guess it's jealousy. I don't know what it is, Your Honor.
I will take a lie detector test on that one.
You think I should send him back for a lie detector test? Well, all right.
Are you ready for this? Drum roll, please. The DNA results are in.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Broadnax, you are the father.
You're not gonna believe this. Mr. Robinson discovers the bombshell that his adorable 3-year-old Brandon Jr. might not actually share his DNA after a whole 12 years with Ms. Fuller. Just when he thought popping the question was the big play, life throws him a curveball that shatters his heart and cancels the wedding plans. Buckle up, because this roller coaster is just getting started.
After a 12-year relationship, the defendant, she confessed that you may not be your biological child. Your engagement to Ms. Fuller is broken off and your heart is in ruins.
Yes.
You may now lose your son too.
Yes, Your Honor.
Talk about a plot twist. In a courtroom scene straight out of a daytime drama, Ms. Fuller drops a truth bomb, admitting that when little Brandon Jr. was conceived, she was juggling more than holiday plans. She kept her paternity doubts a secret from Mr. Robisol, stirring up a hurricane of emotional chows. Strap in. The next reveal is a doozy.
Ms. Fuller, you admit that you were indeed sleeping with another man at the time Brandon Jr. was conceived.
Yes, Your Honor.
Furthermore, you acknowledge you hid your doubts about paternity from Mr. Robinson.
Yes, Your Honor.
Wait, it gets wilder. The plot thickens as Mr. Robison lays out how he stumbled upon the paternity predicament. Financial woes had forced him and Ms. Fuller back to their mom's basements, and it was at Uncle Jerry's raucous 50th birthday bash that doubts started to whisper. Next up, things go from soap opera to reality TV.
6 months, my son was 6 months. We had to separate because we had to move.
So you all were in a relationship?
We were in a relationship. 6 months in, we had to move. We fell on some hard times.
Okay.
She moved back to her mom. The day that it happened, it just so happened to be a birthday party also. I take him to the birthday party.
Oh, the drama. In a confrontation that could make reality TV blush, Mr. Robinson grills Ms. Fuller on her mysterious week-long vanishing act, pushing her to confess her time spent with the possible real baby daddy. The courtroom gasps are so loud, you'd think they were audience sound effects. Stick around, it's about to get even juicier.
What got in your mind to where when she finally called you from the private number, it was, is Brandon Jr. my son? How did you come to that?
Why would you just disappear?
He started looking like the other guy to me when he was 6 months. I have a picture.
Grab your tissues. Amid the chaos, Mr. Robinson shares tear-jerking tales of Brandon Jr. dozing off on his chest, painting a picture of a father-son bond that's thicker than a biological certificate. Don't touch that dial. The emotional floodgates are just opening.
Sleeping on my chest at night, everything. I mean, I barely move. I mean, you know, like I would sleep like this.
I know that move. Really?
He's the only guy my son knows as a father.
So that's my son. Daddy, daddy, daddy. He just gets so excited every time he sees me.
And then it hits the fan. The saga hits peak drama when Mr. Robinson uncovers a sneaky text Ms. Fuller sent to her maybe more than a friend, hinting that little Brandon might be more a stranger than a mini-me. The fallout, a neighborhood spectacle that ends with the cops showing up. You'll need popcorn for what's coming next.
So she reading it, she kind of got a little look on her face or whatever. I went to the washer and I started taking clothes out the washer and out the dryer and all of that stuff. And I was like, get out. But I'm like, leave Brandon because you got to work tomorrow anyway. And it was my day to keep him anyway.
Get ready for the timeline tangle. Courtroom shocker as a calendar lays bare Ms. Fuller's double life, revealing an 8-year tag team of romances that overlapped like a badly planned conference call. Mr. Robinson's face says it all, betrayed by the calendar and his heart. The next chapter is just around the corner.
You reconnect with that other potential father, and you're with him all the way through 2011.
When he would put me out, that's who I would kick it with. That's who I would call.
And during the time of conception, you were with this other guy as well. I can tell by the look on your face you did not know this.
Oh no, not at all, Your Honor.
Hold on, here comes the big moment. As the judge prepares to drop the DNA verdict, Mr. Robinson voices his change of heart about renaming Brandon Jr. in a fit of spite. Blood ties or not, his dad game is strong. The grand finale is upon us, folks.
I don't want to change his name. I don't want to change his name. Everybody know him Brandon. Everybody call him Brandon. Brandon, Lil BB. You know, you can't just take that away from him.
With that said, Jerome, I think it's time we go to the result. These results were prepared by DNA Diagnostics.
Phew, plot twist alert. DNA results are in, and guess who's the daddy?
Mr. Brandon Robinson Sr., you are his father. I don't even have to ask you how you feel.
Oh, man. You know.
In a bold opening move, Ms. Brown cranks up the drama right from the get-goes, emphasizing how mega important her daughter's future is. She passionately slams down her intent to prove Mr. Rutledge's paternity, hammering in that her daughter totally deserves to have both parents in her life. She points out that Mr. Rutledge has been about as present as a ghost in their daughter's life. Strap in, because this roller coaster is just getting started.
Ms. Brown, you say the only thing that matters to you today is the future of your 1-year-old daughter, Sanaya. You state you're here to prove the defendant, Mr. Rutledge, is her biological father because she needs 2 parents, yet he's seen her only once in her life.
Yes, Your Honor.
Just when you think it's all serious, Mr. Rutledge throws a curveball by spilling the beans on Ms. Brown's past romances with his own relatives. Talk about keeping it in the family. He suggests a pattern of, let's say, very friendly behavior that casts a big ol' shadow of doubt on his paternity. He's not buying the fatherhood story, especially with her track record with his cousin and brother, and he dives into a juicy backstory of past disputes and some sketchy financial shenanigans involving Miss Brown. Hold on to your hats, because there's more drama ahead.
Well, first of all, me and Miss Brown was never in a relationship. It was only sexual relationship. I met Miss Brown from, she was seeing my cousin, they was dating for a while. After they broke up, they split up, whatever. She got with my other cousin, had a one night stand with him.
And just like that, Ms. Brown is on the defense, fighting back against Mr. Rutledge's accusations with the fury of a reality TV star. She's baffled, like really, asking why on earth Mr. Rutledge would roll the dice on an unprotected rendezvous if he thought she was the town bicycle. She stands her ground, fiercely defending her honor and trying to scrub clean her past actions. Grab your popcorn, folks, because this clash is heating up.
If he felt that I had one night stand with his cousin or his brother while I turned around and have unprotected sex, I never. He knew how I was. He knew everything before, before we started even messing with each other, because we had mutual friends. We were around each other. He had a chance to get to know me and everything. And as you can see, he still decided to have contact with me.
Here's where it gets soap opera level complicated. The chat about Ms. Brown's pregnancy throws us into a whirlwind of mixed signals. Mr. Rutledge is all over the map, first questioning her plans about the baby, then begrudgingly agreeing to chat more in person. This moment is like a telenovela cliffhanger, full of uncertainty and emotional baggage. The plot thickens, so don't touch that dial.
I'm like, I'd rather you come here and talk to you in person. He's like, know, what is it? So I told him, like, I'm pregnant. So he kind of got quiet for a little bit. He like, you pregnant? What you gonna do? Then he like, never mind, I'll be over there. Which like probably like 30 minutes to an hour later, he came over there on his daughter's Peking Gray bike and wanted to know, you know, what was going on about the pregnancy. So, you know, he didn't believe me at first, so I had to show him the paper. I showed him the paper and everything. Like, see, you know, I'm pregnant. He don't know what I'm gonna do. He really kind of leaning towards me getting an abortion. He wanted me to get an abortion.
While the baby's arrival should be a time of joy, Mr. Rutledge decides to skip the party, deepening the plot twist. His sister steps up to the plate, supporting Ms. Brown in the hospital, showcasing some serious family division. Mr. Rutledge doesn't make things any better with his not-so-warm and fuzzy comments about the newborn. The saga continues, and trust me, you don't want to miss what's next.
First of all, it was never about the baby. It was all about she wanted to be with me. She don't care whether the baby minds or not.
When you gave birth to Sanaya, did Mr. Rutledge, did he show up to the hospital?
No, his sister, Mrs. Rutledge, was there when I had the baby. She was there like every day while I was in the hospital. She was there. She sent her mother pictures, and I guess she sent Mr. Rutledge pictures, and he told her that he hopes my baby die and that he don't want my baby around other children, and that's something that came out of her mouth.
Boom, the DNA test drops like a bomb.
It has been determined by this court that you are her father.
What? Now what? What y'all gotta say now? What do y'all gotta say now? Exactly. I thought that's what y'all had to say.
Mr. King, rocking his signature swagger, strolls into the courtroom like it's his birthday party, dropping the bombshell of the century. He's pretty sure he's the biological father of Ms. Holmes's ridiculously cute 10-month-old Kayvon. Flashback to when Ms. Holmes pointed him out in a lineup of potential dads, but now she's playing a game of parental ping pong. Drama alert. Buckle up because the courtroom showdown is just getting started, and it's about to get wild.
Mr. King, you have opened your case today because you are 100% certain that you fathered Ms. Holmes' 10-month-old son, Kayvon. She told you that you are the father, but now says are not his daddy. Ms. Holmes, you admit you led Mr. King to believing he was son's father.
The plot thickens, and oh boy, is it saucy. Ms. Holmes fesses up that she might have led Mr. King down the proverbial garden path, letting him believe he was the papa, only to snatch that notion away faster than you can say paternity test. The intrigue. This bombshell confession sets the stage for a roller coaster of drama and a whirlwind of confusion about who the real daddy is. Hang tight because the tension is gearing up to skyrocket.
When she wants something, she calls me and needs me. But now when we are having a complication, she's so quick to say, oh, you're not the father. What is you doing? Why you keep sending me stuff? Why can't you just get ghosted? And why can't you just leave us alone?
So she's sending mixed messages.
Yes, Your Honor.
She's telling you at some point you are the father, some point you aren't.
When he needs clothes, hey, can you send your son some clothes? I'm okay with that. Clothes, money, diapers, whatever she needed.
Did you catch that curveball? The judge, showcasing the patience of a saint and possibly a dash of divine intervention, dives headfirst into the tangled web of Ms. Holmes' flip-flopping tales about Mr. King's paternity saga. Mr. King spills the tea, and it's scalding. He dishes on how Ms. Holmes' story of who's the daddy seemed to change more often than a chameleon. You won't believe the juicy details they're about to spill next. Grab your popcorn.
Knowing that he may or may not father, but that you truly believed he was not the father.
Yes.
Are you playing both sides of the fence, Ms. Holmes?
Yes. That was.
Well, let's go ahead and be honest then.
I just want Kayvon to have what he needs. When I'm having a hard time and I need something, I know King's gonna give it to me.
Things are heating up. In a fiery exchange, Ms. Holmes and Mr. King take us on a nostalgia trip to their high school days, unearthing old flames and secret sneaky rendezvous. Their past is a treasure trove of secrets and half-truths, exposing the twisted roots of their current predicament. Don't wander off, the revelations are just getting started, and they're absolutely scorching.
Sexual things at the staircase in high school?
Yes.
No, Your Honor, that's not the truth. Like she said before, yes, we had sex and me at the staircase, but it was nothing, probably just like a little dance or just a kiss.
A dance.
A dance.
Yes,
A dance.
Yes, Your Honor. Like,
okay.
Like maybe just a twerk.
Okay,
so
a twerk at the staircase.
Okay.
I've never heard of this, Jerome. Now, we twerking at staircase.
We did more than twerk at the staircase, okay?
You can't make this stuff up. Amidst the barrage of legal jargon, the judge cracks a joke about the couple's impromptu and fiery reunion in Texas, spotlighting their uncanny knack for making hasty and heated decisions. This lighthearted moment cuts through the tension and casts a spotlight on the passionate yet perplexing nature of their relationship. The drama is far from over. Keep watching because it spirals into even crazier territory.
Go to the movies. I mean, you say you're gonna go to Texas and you just immediately get a hotel room and start having sex?
It's because when we was in high school, we couldn't do what we wanted. And it's like when I saw him, it was like, old feelings, you know, arrived. So I was like, okay, let's just get this done.
So you didn't even say we gonna go on a date, nothing. Y'all just go to a hotel and start having sex
No,
4 and 5 times a day?
To dinner. I mean, I'm not that cheap.
Buckle up for this bombshell. Mr. King uncovers not just about Ms. Holmes' pregnancy, but also her sneaky backslide into the arms of her ex. Hello, plot twist. This double dealing adds layers of betrayal and turns the plot into a soap opera on steroids. Hold tight because the next revelation is a total game changer, and you'll need to see it to believe it.
You had 3 days worth of sex with Mr. King. Was that protected or unprotected?
That was definitely unprotected.
Then get back with your boyfriend. You also had unprotected sex with the boyfriend.
Yes.
And how soon after that did you find out you were pregnant?
I found out in the end of November. So at that time, I was with the other guy.
So Mr. King, while this is happening, you have no idea?
No, Your Honor.
Because she's cut you off.
Completely. No explanation, no.
Brace yourselves, folks. We've hit the climax of this episode with the DNA results that shock everyone.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. King, you are not the father. I know that wasn't the answer you wanted, Mr. King. I'm sorry.
Miss Yancey kicks things off with a teary testimony about the emotional roller coaster her boyfriend, Mr. Thomas, has thrown her on by denying paternity of their cute, albeit controversial, 7-month-old son, Kahari. She shares how this paternity drama is wreaking havoc on their love life and her mental peace, emphasizing just how much hinges on what the judge decides next. It's like a reality TV show, but in court.
You testify that his paternity denial is tearing you apart. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
You claim that after finding pictures of Ms. Yancey and the baby with another man, you are convinced you are not Kahari's biological father. Is that correct?
That's correct, Your Honor.
Plot twist incoming. Mr. Thomas steps up, throwing a curveball with doubts about his role as Kahari's dad, all thanks to some incriminating photos of Miss Yancey cozying up with another dude and the kiddo. His suspicion isn't just coming out of nowhere. It's backed by snapshots and a history of Miss Yancey's sketchy moves. And bam, he drops the paternity challenge right there in the courtroom. Grab your popcorn, folks. This is getting good.
Well, it's important because, we've been having a few issues ever since my baby was born. You know, he was there through the entire pregnancy, and we would go back and forth after the baby was born about, the baby doesn't look like him, the baby looks like me, or, the baby.
So you feel like this paternity resolution is important in terms of saving your relationship?
Yes, Your Honor.
So your relationship's on the line, Mr. Thomas?
Yes, Your Honor, it is.
Talk about a can of worms. The courtroom turns into a hot mess with Miss Yancey and Mr. Thomas airing their dirty laundry for all to hear. We've got accusations flying left and right, revealing a backstory filled with cheating scandals and trust issues galore. This spicy exchange lays bare the messy foundation of their relationship and the troubled waters their little one is floating in. You'll want to hear what's next. Trust me.
Giving my friend a ride, we were going out. He seen me at the gas station with him. All this stuff came out. He started cussing me out and texting me and calling me out my name. And
well, yeah,
he was following me in my car.
If you're in a relationship with somebody,
we weren't in a
you
relationship.
don't go and give another man.
But I thought y'all said you all were broken up.
Right, exactly. When we were breaking up,
that's not
to me, I felt like we were over.
Wait, it gets juicier. Picture this. Miss Yancey breaks the big news to Mr. Thomas. Surprise, you're going to be a dad. There's joy, there's confetti, and then record scratch. She hits him with a maybe it's not yours via text. Talk about a buzzkill. This crucial moment is where all the doubt started seeding, leading us to this paternity circus we're all witnessing. What's a court session without a little drama, right?
That she took a pregnancy test and she's pregnant. And I'm like, I was happy for the simple fact that over the years we were trying to conceive and have a baby. And in the back of my mind, I'm thinking like, yes, it finally happened. And then after she told me, she left and texted me that the baby might not be mine.
That's correct. And I told him, and once I started thinking about conception date and the day I conceived, we were on a breakup, and I was seeing someone else.
Just when you think it can't get more dramatic, hold my gavel. The tension cranks up a notch when Mr. Thomas stumbles up on those damning photos of Miss Yancey, another man, and their toddler living it up on a family trip. This bombshell ramps up the paternity stakes, shining a spotlight on potential trust cracks big enough to drive a truck through. It's edge of your seat stuff, folks.
Going through her phone, and I noticed that she has pictures with Kahari and the other man that could possibly be the father.
Oh, really? Why were you taking pictures with the other guy, Miss Yancey?
My mom looked at him and she told me straight up, I don't think that's Maurice's son, and I think that you should get in contact with his biological father.
We're together. Why couldn't you have just told me? Why hide it and make it a big deal? You know what I mean?
I wasn't trying to hide it. I just felt like there was a particular time and place for that.
And here's the big reveal. Drum roll, please. The DNA results are in, and guess what?
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Thomas, you are not the father. I'm very sorry.
It's okay, Your Honor.
The episode starts with the court clerk rolling out the drama carpet, introducing the spicy case of Genold versus Hardin. Judge Lake is at the helm, and boy, does it look like we're in for a paternity dispute that's juicier than a primetime soap opera. Allegations are flying about paternity denial because apparently child support payments can really stir the pot.
Ms. Genold, you and your sister agree that the man you've known to be your father is denying paternity. Yet you disagree about why you've come to court today. One of you is hoping the DNA test will prove he is your biological father.
Here's Mr. Hardin spilling his guts, saying he's been nearly drowned by child support payments. We're talking a whopping over $90,000. He's throwing shade, doubting he's the daddy of the 2 daughters at the heart of this mess, blaming it all on a roller coaster past with their mom, complete with a side of alleged infidelity. Oh, and it gets better.
Now, Mr. Hardin, you argue that you've been buried in child support payments totaling more than $90,000 for 2 daughters you don't believe you fathered. Furthermore, you claim that while involved with their mother, you caught her in several compromising situations with other men.
Cue the violins, folks. Shane Ice, one of the daughters caught in this family feud, steps up and pours her heart out. She talks about her daddy issues, literally waiting on her dad, who was a no-show more often than a canceled sitcom. She's looking at her friends' Instagram perfect families and feeling left out. Grab your tissues and wait till you hear what her dad has to say about this.
15 years ago is the last time you saw him?
He would always say he was gonna come see us, and he never did. He would just always lie, and that was it.
I wanted this man so bad in my life. I played basketball, I ran track. All my friends had both mom and dad there. I wanted him. I watched through my windows and watched raindrops fall, and he wasn't there.
Just when you thought it couldn't get more tangled, Mr. Hardin fires back. He's not just playing defense. He's trying to rewrite the playbook. Claims it's all the mom's fault he couldn't see his girls, tossing in more doubts about whether he's even related to them, all thanks to mom's past playbook moves. And guess what? The plot thickens from here.
I waited and waited and waited. He never showed.
Your Honor, their mother didn't allow me to come around them. There's no way I would not want to be around my daughters, Your Honor.
You're lying right there.
I asked for a paternity test from day one. Your Honor, I've always doubted because I used to catch Ms. Genold with several different men during the course of our relationship.
Things are heating up now. Judge Lake dives deep, like a reality show host digging for the most embarrassing secret. They dissect the timeline of Mr. Hardin's relationship with Ms. Genold, right around when their first daughter, Shanice, was supposedly conceived. And oh, there might be other players in this game. Stay tuned, because this mystery is unraveling.
Could be one more person.
Yeah.
Okay, Shanice, did you know this? So you do know this. Who's on the birth certificate for Shanice?
Just me.
No father listed.
No.
You say you owe almost $90,000 between the 2 girls. So if you're not on the birth certificate, how did he end up being named father and responsible to pay the child support?
I was told from the state of Minnesota that when they approached him in Indiana,
Here comes a curveball. Mr. Hardin talks about how a missed court date turned into an epic fail, slapping him with a default judgment that pegged him as the father and hooked him for child support without even a paternity test. It's like missing a final exam and still getting graded, but don't go anywhere. The drama's just dialing up.
Did you sign any documents?
Judge Lake, I never signed any parental documents, no birth certificates. I was issued a court order because I was late for court in the initial court date. They actually took my truck driver license, Your Honor. I was a semi-truck driver. I used to drive trucks, saying that that I'm the father of these 2 beautiful young ladies here, Your Honor.
Can you believe this? Amidst battling the financial tide and struggling to keep his head above water, Mr. Hardin has been shouting from the rooftops for a paternity test. But alas, money's tight, and the court isn't handing out tests like free samples. This segment's packed with frustration and a ticking time bomb of family secrets about to explode.
Your Honor, I begged for a paternity test.
5 and 26 years old, you had all this time to do it. You should have did this way back when. Why are you letting us call you dad when you doubted this whole time?
You don't understand.
No, I don't understand, so explain it.
I'd like to
I'm trying to
understand.
explain it right now about this. I begged the court to please give me a
You
paternity
took me to
test.
court last year to modify your
tried.
child support payment.
The money.
I
You never,
tried.
when you started paying child support payment, that's when you wanted DNA tests. You didn't have none of this before.
Oh, it's getting hot in here. Mr. Hardin throws down a bombshell, accusing Ms. Genold of a blockbuster-worthy plot twist. She might have hinted the kids aren't his. She's denying it faster than a celebrity dodges paparazzi. But the tension, it's palpable. And just when you think it can't get more intense, the DNA results are about to drop.
Their mom actually told me that they weren't mine, actually.
What?
Also, too.
No, I
She
never
told
did.
me that.
Never
She
did.
came out of her mouth with...
When did she tell you?
She told me that she wanted me to contact the other fellow that she used to date that may be a possibility. She
No, I
asked me
never
to
did say
give me
that.
her number, and she said that she doesn't know, and they may not be mine, period.
And boom goes the dynamite. DNA test results are in. And guess what?
In the case of Ganald v. Harden, when it comes to Shanice Ganald, Mr. Harden, you are her father.
I told you. I told you.
So, Ms. Vaught drops the bombshell that Mr. Lindsay decided to call it quits on their romance because he's having a paternity panic. She's totally determined to prove that yes, indeed, he is the daddy of her daughter, Shelby. Meanwhile, the tension between these two could cut through a steak, making it the main dish of this whole courtroom drama.
Ms. Vaught, you say your ex-boyfriend, Mr. Lindsay, abrupt ended your relationship due to paternity doubt. But today, you want to prove he is your daughter Shelby's dad. Mr. Lindsay, you say the plaintiff, Ms. Vaught, has committed paternity fraud. You claim she deceived you into believing that you fathered her daughter, but today plan to prove you are not her father.
And just when you thought it couldn't get any spicier, Mr. Lindsay throws back his own hot potato, accusing Ms. Vaught of playing him with some paternity fraud shenanigans. He's all in, denying any daddy duties, and vowing to prove he's not Shelby's father. The stakes are sky high now, with him pushing for a lie detector test to check if Ms. Vaught has been playing the field.
You are countersuing for a lie detector test to determine the extent of Ms. Vaught infidelity.
Yes, Your Honor.
So, Ms. Vaught, well, the stakes are pretty high today.
Yes, they are, Your Honor.
Explain.
I wouldn't place a baby on someone that I didn't know, like didn't believe was her father. You get what I'm saying?
Mr. Lindsay, acting like a regular Sherlock, uncovers messages on Ms. Vaught's Instagram that hint at some mystery dude being told to knock on the right window of her place. Talk about sneaky. This little nugget of gossip throws another layer of suspicion into the mix, making everyone second guess what's really going on in Ms. Vaught's love life.
Somebody was in her, I don't know what they call it, her little Instagram. I guess they were supposed to be knocking on the window. How somebody knocking on your window when you supposed to be talking to me?
You said somebody that on her Instagram was knocking on her window.
That's what the message says.
Oh, what did it say?
Knock on the right window. She was telling the person knock on the right window.
Here's where it gets juicy. Ms. Vaught gets all emotional, swearing up and down that she never doubted Mr. Lindsay was Shelby's bio dad and claims she would have spilled the beans if there were any. But Mr. Lindsay isn't buying it, countering with a supposed confession from her that Shelby might not be his, which she says was just a heat of the moment thing. Drama alert.
She told me the baby wasn't mine. So what I'm supposed to do?
And that's, Your Honor, that's the out of anger, because for him to say, because he would say to me, Your Honor, oh, I don't feel that's my baby. I don't feel that's my baby. Why would you say that when I'm loyal to you? I would have told him. Honestly.
And Ms. Vaught, I have to tell you, like I tell every other young woman in this courtroom.
And I understand
once
that.
you say that, it's a statement that even if you take back
Plot twist. Mr. Lindsay whips out a calendar, yes, a literal calendar, to try to prove that the baby-making timeline doesn't match up with his guest appearances. This calendar is now Exhibit A, folks, in the Who's the Daddy mystery that seems to have more twists than a pretzel.
Mr. Lindsay, you're saying that's incorrect, that you were not with her?
I was not there. I don't know if she got me confused with somebody.
And you see, that's disrespectful. How could you open your mouth and say something like that?
And that hurts your feelings.
And it does, because I love this man, and he know I love him. If you felt like that, you could have walked and did your business. You're not chained to be with me. You should have let that be expressed. Don't sit around wasting my time. I'm a daddy's girl. Why would I want my daughter not to know her father?
And bam, the court drops the results of the lie detector test, showing that Ms. Vaught might have been playing away games, if you catch my drift. This bombshell knocks her credibility into a cocked hat, and suddenly Mr. Lindsay's side of the story starts looking a bit more believable.
We have administered that test, and I have the results. Ron, may I have the envelope? Thank you. You were asked, did you have sexual contact with the man who sent you an Instagram message about which window to knock on? You said no. The lie detector determined you were being deceptive.
What does that mean? That I was lying?
You're not telling the truth.
I was lying?
That's what that means, deceptive.
Okay,
you was lying.
Cue the dramatic music, because here comes the big reveal the paternity test results are in.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Lindsay, you are the father.
Your Honor, I'm so happy. Can I have that, please? Can I have that?
Oh, you want to put this up in the house?
Yep, I sure am.
You're going to put this on the refrigerator.
Mr. Milford spills the beans about his military past and the radiation that supposedly zapped his fatherly potential. He stands there in the courtroom, looking like he's about to crack, explaining how his time with air defense artillery left him shooting blanks. He seems really torn up as he details how this twist of fate has thrown a wrench in his life. You won't believe what happens next.
Mr. Milford, you don't believe Mr. Johnson is your son. Your claim is that you perform police actions with air defense artillery while in the Army, which exposed you to radiation, making it impossible for you to have more children. So, Ms. Johnson, what has Mr. Milford done for your son?
This is about to get even more intense. Ms. Johnson steps up to the plate, throwing curveballs at Mr. Milford about their baby drama. She's all like, it's a baby, not a belly bump. Despite their cozy nights, Ms. Johnson is visibly miffed, tossing her hands up in the air over his tumor theory, calling out his ludicrous denial with a mix of frustration and disbelief. Just wait for the emotional twist ahead.
He kept asking me, was I pregnant? But he said, I told him it was a tumor. But why are you asking me if I'm pregnant if you think I have a tumor?
Because I figure you lying.
So when he asked you, what did you say?
At first I told him no. But then I told him, yes, I was pregnant.
Why did you tell him no?
Because I was scared. I already had 2 children. I didn't want to be pregnant again.
This testimony is heartbreaking. Here comes Curious Johnson, dropping a truth bomb about the whole daddy debacle that's got his life spinning like a datum soap opera. He lays it all out about his identity crisis, how it's been nothing short of a roller coaster, with more downs than ups, and the courtroom is dead silent, totally buying into his tearjerker of a tale. The tension only builds from here.
The way you came to my house,
I still have 2 children.
how did I get pregnant with Kimanda if I didn't want sleeping with you? You came to my house.
Sleeping with me then.
Johnson, Mr. Milford, I want to hear from Kiara. Mr. Johnson, I feel for you sitting here. I mean, listening to this go back and forth. You've been hearing this all your life. This has been the confusion you've lived in for 26 years?
Yes, Your Honor.
The plot thickens here. Mr. Milford isn't giving up. He's on a mission, hitting up the DNA test center, not once, not twice, but 3 times to prove he's not the daddy. But guess what? Ms. Johnson isn't playing ball, dodging the test like it's dodgeball day in gym class, which only adds more spice to this already sizzling saga. Hold on, the revelations are about to escalate.
So I went down to the DNA place. She didn't show up. This the
It
third
never
time.
happened.
The
When did
third
that happen?
time.
When did it happen?
The 3rd time she showed up with the kid and got to arguing with the DNA people. And
That never happened.
And they ran out the door.
When I lived in the county, I was in another relationship.
Wait a minute. You went to try to submit for a DNA test
I
3
did
times.
submit 3 times.
Everyone in the courtroom is on edge. Enter Ms. Chavella Jones, the sideline spectator with a front row seat to the family feud. She's throwing shade like it's sunny, hinting that Mr. Milford might not be the father after all, based on her sneak peeks at Ms. Johnson's little black book. She's got the inside scoop and isn't afraid to dish it out. Things are about to get even more dramatic.
At this time, the court would like to call an independent witness, Ms. Chavella Jones. Jerome, would you please escort her into the courtroom?
Bring you up to the witness stand right there.
Ms. Jones, welcome. Thank you for being here. What do you know about this situation? How are you related?
I had a baby by him first. I dated him all the way through school. I don't understand how they even went there.
Because Ms. Johnson is...
my first cousin.
Is your first cousin.
Correct.
No one was ready for what the judge had to say. The judge takes the stage, schooling Mr. Milford and Ms. Johnson on how their messy love saga has been nothing short of a circus, with tricks and treats that have left young Kiri's caught in the crossfire. She's laying down the law, pointing out every irresponsible juggle and misstep in their act. The next moment is a game changer.
And see, I fought you. It's your fault. It really is. Because you're
you're
8 years older
I
than
hadn't seen her
her.
in
She was a child.
6,
you
7
had
years.
no business.
All you want,
I want you to say
was a sugar daddy.
You didn't
You could have
want
had anything.
I wouldn't sleep with you, so you wouldn't do nothing for
No,
the kids.
no, you
said
sorry.
it point
Mr.
blank.
Milford and Miss Johnson, this could go on forever. I keep giving you all a little leeway to see if maybe we could get somewhere.
The courtroom holds its breath, and boom, the DNA results are in. The judge drops the mic.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Milford, you are not his father.
That's wow.
Ms. Crowley steps up to the plate in a courtroom drama, pitching her request for a DNA test to determine the paternity of her 2-year-old son, Dior. She's pointing the finger at Mr. Houston as the dad. Thanks to a very specific night, they apparently didn't just watch Netflix. She's super sure about the date, basically betting the farm that he's the father. Just watch how Mr. Houston reacts to this.
Ms. Crowley, you have petitioned the court for a DNA test to prove that the defendant is the father of your 2-year-old son, Dior. You claim to remember the exact night you conceived, and therefore, he is your child's father.
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Houston, you say you are certain that you are not her child's father and claim to have to support your case.
Hold on to your hats because this next part is a doozy. Mr. Houston is up at bat now, swinging back with full confidence that he's not the child's father. He's not just denying it, he's got some kind of secret evidence up his sleeve that he claims will clear the whole thing up. He's as adamant as a cat on a hot tin roof about his non-involvement and is gearing up to defend his case with gusto. And his next move, it's going to knock your socks off.
She says you do nothing for Dior. Is that true?
Yes, that's correct. You know, only reason why I don't because I feel like I wasn't gonna do nothing for the baby until I found out he was mine. Me and Dawn, we've been knowing each other since we was kids. I went to Detroit, came back, I met her. She was going through her little situation with her boyfriend.
What unfolds next is crucial to understanding their soap opera-worthy history. Mr. Houston dives into a backstory of his relationship with Ms. Crowley, covering their long history and their not-so-distant encounters. He's adamant that his alibi, being out of town, is as solid as a rock, making it impossible for him to be the father. You'll want to see what Ms. Crowley has to say about this, because it's about to get spicy.
When she told me that Dior was born, there was no way it could have been my baby because I was out of town. I haven't been back in Rochester for numerous years. I wasn't gonna do nothing until we found out Dior was mine. I asked her, I told her I'd pay for a DNA test, she denied.
Ms. Crowley, Mr. Houston is saying he's doing nothing for this child because it's not his.
The tension is building like a suspense novel. Ms. Crowley accuses Mr. Houston of ducking out on his responsibilities by missing a previously scheduled DNA test. She paints him as more elusive than a greased-up Harry Houdini, which just adds more fuel to the fiery drama of figuring out who's daddy. The courtroom is about to turn into a pressure cooker.
I gave him an opportunity when I went to child support, and I did it when my baby was around 6 months. But I got the DNA test, he never showed up for it, so he's not trying to see if this is his son.
Because I was not in town.
And you tried to get the DNA, but you say he didn't show up for that and he's done nothing for the child.
Nothing. I've been taking care of him by myself, trying to go to school.
Girl been infatuated with me since we was in 8th grade.
Grab your popcorn. This confrontation is like a scene straight out of a telenovela. In a fiery exchange, Ms. Crowley and Mr. Houston hash out their past relationship dramas, each one airing their version of whether they were ever truly an item. This intense chat brings out all the personal baggage and emotional drama you could hope for in a paternity dispute. Their next evidence piece is going to be a showstopper.
In your mind, this was a relationship, Ms. Crowley.
Yeah.
How was you in a relationship? When I came around, she had a whole boyfriend. I was staying with her.
That wasn't my
Sleeping on her
boyfriend, and
sister's couch.
he knew that I was messing with other people. That wasn't my boyfriend either.
So you were sleeping with other people during the time you were also sleeping with Mr. Houston?
Yes.
Even though you were with other men while you were with Mr. Houston, you know the exact night you conceived.
Yes.
What night is this?
March 11th.
You won't believe what's coming next. Mr. Houston rolls out a calendar as his secret weapon, showing off dates that he claims will prove he was out of state when Dior was conceived. This calendar is like his magic trick, meant to vanish the timeline Ms. Crowley has laid out. And then, just when you think you've seen it all, there's a twist that will flip the script.
I was out of town, yes. I was
On
in Detroit.
March 21st.
Yes, ma'am. I got to Rochester the 23rd because I caught the Greyhound. I left on the 22nd.
On this particular calendar, it shows you met Ms. Crowley, you say on April 13th?
That's when we had sex.
That's when you had sex?
Yes, ma'am.
Things just got real interesting. The court is all ears as they learn about Mr. Houston's medical condition, which could mean his swimmers might not be up to the task. This scientific curveball adds a whole new layer to his defense, suggesting maybe he couldn't be the dad, even if he was in town. But don't go anywhere. The DNA test results are about to drop a bombshell.
Latex don't irritate me.
Unprotected sex, she said
Why
yes.
were you then having unprotected sex with Ms. Crowley when you thought she had a boyfriend?
No, I only had unprotected sex with Dawn the night when on April 13th, we had a block party. We stayed right around the corner from my mother's house. When we had the block party, we was all drinking. Me and Dawn, we did our 1-2 without a condom.
I don't know anything about this block party because I didn't go. I don't know what he's talking about.
This is the moment everyone's been waiting for, folks. The DNA test results are finally unveiled, and boom.
Mr. Houston, you are Dior's father. The first thing out of your mouth when I said you are the father is exactly what I want to hear. Okay. What did you say?
Can I see the baby?
Mr. Whistler's deep in the financial muck, right? He's chatting about how he's slapped with a whopping $21,000 in child support garnishments for a kid he's pretty sure isn't even his. The dude's basically living on scraps here, winding up with a meager $70 each week after they've done raiding his paycheck. Talk about a tight budget.
Mr. Whistler, you claim you currently owe almost $21,000 in back child support
Yes, Your Honor.
for the defendant's son, a young man you believe may not be yours.
Yes, Your Honor.
You say your paycheck is garnished each week, leaving you only $70.
Picture this scene in court. Mr. Whistler is up there, throwing down some serious doubts about being a dad because, according to his doctors, he's supposed to be shooting blanks. He spills the beans about his initial freakout when Ms. Frazier hit him with the pregnancy news back in late 2005. Yep, it's as messy as it sounds.
Once and for all, I've been waiting 18 years.
Well, tell me why you doubt paternity.
Because we were in a relationship. Late 2005, tells me she's pregnant. And I always ask her, are you for sure it is mine?
You had doubts from the beginning.
Yes, ma'am. I had a torsion. That, the doctor said right there, no, you're unable to have children.
Now, hold up for the juicy part. Ms. Fraser drops a bombshell during this heated chat. She admits there's another guy who might actually be the daddy. And guess what? She's been keeping his name on all the important docs all along, hinting she's been unsure about Mr. Whistler's daddy status from the get-go. Drama alert.
And you found out you were pregnant. Did you tell Mr. Whistler it was his child?
I told him I was pregnant, and he told me it wasn't his.
And the other guy that you say you always put his name on all paperwork.
All the paperwork.
What about the birth certificate?
You wanted him to have
your
last
told
name.
me if I wanted that kid to have my last name and I wanted to claim him, I would be there for the birth.
Yeah.
And I was there.
That's
and
why
I
he's got
did
your
it.
last name.
Things are heating up. Mr. Whistler whips out some paperwork for Judge Lake, showing off a letter from Child Enforcement that's screaming he's way behind on child support payments. This guy's financial soap opera is nothing short of a daytime Emmy nominee. Seriously, it's like his wallet's on life support.
Mr. Whistler, what is the evidence you keep holding up? May I see that, please?
A letter I received from the Child Enforcement of the state of Missouri just about 2 weeks ago, Your Honor.
But they're not giving it to me.
And, you know, that just don't add up.
This letter from the state of Missouri indicates total past due support $20,850.
Yes, Your Honor.
56 cents.
Already on this child.
And then, boom, plot twist. Mr. Whistler tells a sob story about how he signed the birth certificate, totally convinced he was the pops. But oh snap, about half a year later, he finds out there might be another contender for Daddy of the Year. Too bad he'd already signed on the dotted line. Timing is everything, folks.
You signed the birth certificate willingly.
Yes, you know, I was under the impression that I could have been the only person that could have been this child's father.
You signed that birth certificate because you believe at that time it was your child.
Yes, Your Honor.
Because that's what Miss Fraser told you and never told you there was the other person.
Yes, Your Honor.
After the child was already here.
Yes, Your
and
Honor.
you had already signed the birth certificate.
Yes, Your Honor.
Fast forward a few awkward years, and the courtroom drama peaks. The DNA results are finally in, and guess what?
When it comes to the paternity of Mr. Dallas Whistler, Mr. Whistler, you are not his father.
Dallas, that still is not going to change my love for you and wanting to spend time with you.
The case Lockridge versus Tidwell kicks off with a bang as the courtroom clerk sets the stage. The introduction is nothing short of a blockbuster opener, laying the groundwork for a high-stakes paternity drama over Little King, a 10-month-old caught in the middle of a legal tug-of-war. Grab your popcorn because this is just the beginning.
Good morning, Your Honor.
Good morning.
This is a case of Lockridge v. Tidwell.
Thank you, Ron. Good day, everyone. Ms. Lockridge, you've dragged the defendant, Mr. Tidwell, to court because he has refused to acknowledge your 10-month-old son, King. You are 100% sure he's the father and claim today's results will prove your case.
You think reality TV is dramatic? Watch this. Miss Lockridge throws down the gauntlet, accusing Mr. Tidwell of bailing on their baby boy, King. She's dead set on proving he's the daddy, and her fierce determination lights up the courtroom. The emotional stakes are sky high, and trust me, you'll want to stick around to see how Mr. Tidwell handles this hot potato.
You say you were never in a serious relationship with Ms. Lockridge, and you were stunned when she told you she was pregnant. The timing leads you to suspect that baby King's father must be another man. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Just when you thought it couldn't get more soap opera-like, enter Mr. Tidwell with a plot twist. He claims shock and awe at the pregnancy news and hints that Miss Lockridge might have other visitors to her love nest. The timing of her announcement has him raising eyebrows and suspicions. What's next? Oh, it's a doozy.
The only time he's actually seen my son is when I've made it a convenience for him and brought him to him. That means traveling 4 hours on bus, driving 2 hours on the car to drive to him. He hasn't helped with diapers. He barely helped with any clothes. It's frustrating. He named my son King, and how am I supposed to raise a king and he's not there?
Cue the violins because Miss Lockridge's tale of solo parenting will tug at your heartstrings. She lays out the tough reality of raising King without any help from Mr. Suspected Daddy Tidwell. It's a roller coaster of emotions, and she's riding it solo. Don't go anywhere. The drama level is about to explode.
You named him King, Mr. Tidwell?
Yes, Your Honor.
But you don't have a relationship with him?
Nope, because, Your Honor, I think she's more wants me to be the dad than she really believes I'm the dad. She's obsessed with me, and she's done a lot of different things to make me feel like I'm not the father. She's left town. She's left me with the baby for weeks.
As if the emotional roller coaster wasn't enough, Mr. Tidwell cranks it up a notch by labeling Miss Lockridge as obsessed with him. The courtroom turns into a scene straight out of a dramatic thriller, with accusations flying like popcorn kernels in hot oil. You'll be on the edge of your seat wondering what bombshell will drop next.
She has other men around.
But you named the child.
She gave me the right to do that. She talked to me. I wasn't there at the birth. She only called me when she had the baby.
So take me back to this relationship. I want to understand all
There
this.
was no relationship.
Just what? Casual sex?
Yes.
We were on and off for 6 years. We were together for my understanding, how he led me to believe I was single or I was with him in a committed relationship. I was my side, my personal opinion. We were together for a year.
Plot twist. Mr. Tidwell plays the casual fling card hard, suggesting their flings were as casual as jeans and a t-shirt. He's all about denying any serious ties that might pin him down as a dad. But don't get too comfy. There's more twisty turmoil ahead.
She came over to my house. We hung out. The next day, I see a piece of paper on my bed. I grab it, I looked at it. It was a note with an ultrasound in it. It said that she didn't know how to tell me this, and she's sorry she had to tell me like that.
So that's 1 week after you had sex with her, he left you a note.
Yes.
That's a lot.
Miss Lockridge isn't holding back. She recounts the lonely journey of her pregnancy and King's birth, all done solo. Mr. Tidwell's absentee bingo card is full, and Miss Lockridge is calling him out. Keep your tissues handy, but also brace for a sudden turn in this emotional saga.
Let's go forward to the pregnancy. During that time, is he participating at all?
Not at all. Not at all. He didn't care about, I texted him when I was every doctor's appointment, all my weight gains, the weight changes. I even sent him voice recordings of the heartbeat. When I had my son, I was in labor for 36 hours, completely by myself, to the point where the nurse that was with me, she had to call the doctor and ask the doctor if she could stay with me.
Things heat up with a fiery exchange over a supposed parental handoff gone wrong. Miss Lockridge accuses Mr. Tidwell of dropping the dad ball while she was out of state. It's a he said, she said showdown with a spicy dash of mistrust and responsibility questions. The next twist is a real jaw-dropper.
She had a modeling job, just all of a sudden just jumps up and leaves this baby with us. We took care of the baby at that time.
I call her, I'm like, when are you coming back? Like, I have stuff to do too. I have, you know what I mean? And all of a sudden, boom, she was there to pick him up with some guy.
She dropped, you threatened to take my son. I was in Nevada doing a photo shoot
and I don't hear from
and hanging out with my cousin.
I don't hear
she
from her
was
for
fixing
2
to have her
weeks.
baby. I can give you the proof of the photo.
At a modeling job, you said you
sure
getting paid to model.
Sure do.
The tension is thicker than a bowl of oatmeal as everyone waits for the DNA results.
Mr. Tidwell, you are not his father.
Are you kidding me?
Messed up, man.
I'm sorry, baby. I'm sorry.
We're all here. We're all here.
I'm here with you. I'm not gonna... Okay?